Today, the head of state sworn in 15 Court of Appeal judges. We have that news plus much more. Good afternoon and welcome to KBC Lunchtime News. I'm Njue. Many thanks indeed for joining us. Remember, we are also live on our social media spaces, not forgetting our KBC digital app. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, has launched a nationwide initiative to monitor the use of online media across counties in a bid to curb hate speech, incitement, and radical ideologies as the country gears up to the 2027 general election. Speaking in Njue, Laikipia County, during an ongoing training on responsible social media use, NCIC Director Liban Guyo said the commission will roll out several key policy documents to guide online conduct. These include the Gender Analysis Report, the Kenya National Action Plan Against Hate Speech, and the Social Media Monitoring Guidelines. Guya noted that the documents will help educate users on responsible digital communication while cautioning against misuse that could trigger ethnic profiling, incitement, public outrage, and radicalization.
Hewa ya siasa si nzuri sana, vile nilikuwa nimesema hapo awali, kuna cheche za maneno. Hiyo ndio sababu tumeweza kuhamasisha wananchi to build resiliency among the local communities and the Kenyans. Okay? So that wanasiasa wakaja ndio wanaanza kuwaeleza hawa tofauti yao.
Watu wameweza kuelezwa mambo ya what is hate speech kwa undani na ni jinsi gani unaweza jua hii ni mambo ya hate speech. Kwa hivyo nafikiria wale ambao tumekuwa nao wamefaidi pakubwa, na wito wangu ni kwamba hiyo mafunzo wamepata ni lazima tueneze ijiri nje na tuweze kuambia wananchi mambo ya chuki ni nini, kueneza chuki ni nini, na wakati huu tunaelekea wakati wa siasa.
Calls to embrace humanity and uphold the dignity of human rights across the world reverberated at the United Nations headquarters in Nairobi as members of the diplomatic corps and survivors converged to commemorate the Holocaust. The historic tragedy dated back to the period between 1933 and 1945 marked one of the darkest chapters in human history, with 6 million Jewish people systematically murdered by Nazi Germany and its collaborators.
Ambassadors, members of the diplomatic community, among other delegates, gathered at the United Nations headquarters in Nairobi to commemorate one of the darkest moments in the human history, the Holocaust. Dating back to the period between 1933 and 1945, the Holocaust saw at least 6 million Jewish people systematically murdered by the Nazi Germany and its collaborators solely on the basis of hatred and extremist ideologies.
Our memory only makes sense if it goes hand in hand with education, responsibility, and opposition to hatred in all its forms: anti-Semitism, racism, xenophobia, and violence.
Speaker after speaker reiterated the importance of embracing humanity and protecting human rights globally, warning against the silence in the face of injustice.
Silence in the face of evil is evil itself.
Concerns were also brought to the fore over the rising anti-Semitism, particularly on social media, with the leaders calling for stronger filtering of online content that spreads hatred to avert the recurrence of such a tragedy that was fueled mainly by dehumanizing language and propaganda.
And there are means to stop it. It's very simple. Algorithms control social media today. Put an algorithm in place that will stop anti-Semitism, racism, hatred against LGBT and others. It will do it.
Among the living memories and survivors of the atrocities was Wanda Albinsky. The now more than 90 years old recounts the horrifying tragic turn of events during the history's darkest chapters.
My mother was killed, and we have been just members of society without no political activities. Everything what happened later was consequence of this German intolerance towards the Jews.
Guided by the lesson of the Holocaust, often summed up as never again, the commemoration renewed calls to end discrimination, bigotry and persecution, affirming that every human being, regardless of race, color or religion, deserves dignity.
Together, let us build a world where the horrors of the past serve as a catalyst for a future rooted in respect, understanding, and shared humanity.
Away from that, President William Ruto has challenged the judiciary to define the place of manifestos voted in by Kenyans during the general election. The president says the legal hurdles have hindered the implementation of key promises made to Kenyans. The head of state spoke while presiding over the swearing-in ceremony of the newly appointed Court of Appeal judges at State House, Nairobi.
And to the best of my knowledge and ability.
I will at all times, and to the best of my knowledge and ability,
protect, administer, and defend this Constitution with a view to upholding the dignity.
I will want to understand when the people of Kenya vote for a manifesto, and a manifesto is endorsed as a policy document by millions of Kenyans. Where does that manifesto stand when the implementation of that manifesto is challenged? Sometimes on account of public participation, to the detriment of millions who voted for it. I think as we grow our jurisprudence, I think it's a good thing to try and help us, all of us, understand, because progressively we want to move away from our political discourse being around personalities.
Elsewhere, a review of the 2013 National Environment Policy is underway, with key focus being green job creation, ecosystem restoration, disaster risk reduction, mainstreaming environment education, and strengthening climate resilience at all levels. Environment Cabinet Secretary Deborah Barasa says that the 2013 Environment Policy Framework is long overdue, and with the new emerging climate crisis, a new approach is needed. This even as she noted the review also realigns the country's national environmental governance framework with international commitments such as Paris Agreement. Opicho Chamtai with the details.
Over the years, trends in weather patterns have kept changing, with countries now experiencing triple planetary crises, that is climate change, biodiversity loss and pollution.
As a ministry, we are driving this, taking into the aspect of the new realities, noting that environment is a critical component even within the Constitution and also for driving the agenda of Kenya.
In leading a consultative forum that brought together environment stakeholders to review the policy in Nairobi, Environment Cabinet Secretary Deborah Barasa emphasized the need to integrate issues such as green bonds and carbon markets to fund environmental conservation.
This policy review is about delivering livelihoods and economic transformation. It is a strategic undertaking that goes to the heart of Kenya's development trajectory.
This, even as environment stakeholders unanimously agreed that for impact to be felt, the reviewed environment policy ought to be collaborative, inclusive, and have data-driven insights.
We are working as a government in a whole of government approach to deliver as a sustainable way of building resilience within communities. And we have designed quite a number of programs in that regard. I've just mentioned one, the FLOGA program. There are other programs through the NDMA.
It's always an advantage in having collective action. And that's why we are advocating for the ecosystem working together, so that then when you go to the COP or when you go to the negotiating rooms, you are able to negotiate as one homogeneous ecosystem.
However, the stakeholders are also keen to express their desire for incorporation of environmental crimes such as pollution, deforestation, among others, in the reviewed policy.
We'll assist the government to ensure that there is also a legal framework that supports actions against all criminals that take advantage of natural resources.
Key thematic areas in the review process include green job creation, ecosystem restoration, disaster risk reduction, mainstreaming environmental education, and strengthening climate resilience at all levels.
When ecosystems fail, livelihoods collapse. When forests disappear, water security is threatened. When land is degraded, food systems weaken. And when pollution goes unchecked, public health costs rise.
With the 2013 National Environment Policy Review underway, once completed, environment stakeholders strongly believe that it will help the country gain more climate opportunities and in turn drive the country's economy forward. Opicha Chemtai for Lunchtime News.
In other news, tension remains high at Mkogodo Forest in Doldol, Laikipia North constituency in Laikipia County, following a raid by armed bandits who allegedly made away with over 1,200 goats and 200 cows. The affected herders say the bandits are believed to have come from the neighboring Isiolo County and faulted the government for having done too little to curb the cases of banditry in the area. Upper Naibunga Conservancy Manager Peter Kilua says Mkogodo Forest has been gazetted as a disturbed area and urged the government to fulfill its promise of conducting a military operation to weed out bandits from the area.
Nishugua juzi alafu tena hata leo usiku ya leo tena kaenda naye. Boma ile leo ndio imepigwa leo ndio wamefahamia na wakaenda na mali yote. Kwa hiyo maboma sasa hakuna kitu.
Saa hizi tumehamisha hii kwa sababu jana usiku amehamisha boma tan.
Yes, we were given an extra camp at JSU hapa set, but the strength ama wale askari wako hapo ni wachache sana.
Hawa jambazi wamekuja kufahamia kambi ya NPR wetu. Sisi tunauliza KDF wako pale Turkana, wako Baringo, wako Elgeyo Marakwet, lakini ikifika upande wa Laikipia hatujawaona.
Mkogodo Forest last year ilitangazwa and was gazetted as a disturbed area. It was put under areas that are under operation like any other part of Kenya, northern Kenya. Since then hatujaona action.
West Pokot County government through the Department of Health and Sanitation has disbursed drugs worth 75 million shillings to health facilities across the county in a move aimed at improving access to healthcare services at the grassroots. Speaking during the flagging off of the consignment in Kapenguria, West Pokot County Governor Simon Kachapin said the health sector remains a top priority for his administration, noting that uninterrupted supply of essential medicines is critical to effective service delivery. Kachapin said the county is committed to ensuring a steady flow of drugs to all health facilities to prevent shortages that often force patients to travel long distances in search of medical care. He also noted that West Pokot is among counties that have embraced transparency and accountability, adding that the region enjoys a strong working relationship with the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA.
Na hizi dawa zitapelekwa katika hospitali yetu ya Kapenguria, ya rufaa ya Kapenguria, zile za sub-county zote na zahanati zote mpaka mpya. Tutaendelea kuongeza dawa, tutaendelea kuongeza vifaa. Mkijua juzi kwa mfano tumeweka the first CT scan. Na tunaajibika. We are very accountable.
Aha, nyingine inayofuata ni hapa.
To security matters now, where traders in Githurai market in Kiambu County are calling on the area security operators to come to their aid and arrest goons who have been harassing them in their premises. The traders, who are decrying an attempt by the goons to flush them out of their areas of operations, are accusing the authorities of laxity in taking action, claiming the goons are well-known individuals.
Wanaingia na funjo kuvuruga amani ambayo tulikuwa nayo mahali tunafanyia kazi. Ikawa wanarusha mawe kwa kibanda ya kwangu, vibanda zenye ziko pale zikawa hakuwezi kaa na amani. Wakagonga mama na mtoto.
Kwa nini viongozi wetu wasiitwe, waelezewe chenye inaendelea ni nini, ndio wakuje kwa sisi members watuelezee kuna njia inafaa ipite hapa na hapa. Sisi tumeona madharau mengi sana pale tunafanyia kazi.
Wanasema wanataka kutengeneza njia waondoe traders wengine, na wenye wanaondolewa hakuna mahali ya kuwapeleka.
And at least 363 public primary schools countrywide have been connected to the internet services under the European Union-funded last-mile connectivity of school projects, boosting digital learning in rural and underserved areas. Remote institutions such as the Nkasiti Primary School in Kajiado County are already benefiting from reliable and sustainable internet connectivity. The project was launched in October of 2023, targeting 1,000 public primary schools across 14 counties, supporting digital learning aligned with the competency-based education curriculum. So far, more than 277,000 learners have accessed online learning platforms and digital content, with about 2,800 children with disabilities benefiting from inclusive digital tools. The initiative, part of the European Union's digital economic package for Kenya under the Global Gateway Strategy, has also seen over 4,400 teachers use digital technology in classrooms, with hundreds trained on ICT use.
With the help of the internet, we can be able to stream classes, even watch, use lab exchange program, whereby we can be able to conduct an experiment without physically doing it, but we use internet, and it has even the simulation whereby learners can be able to change factors like temperature, pressure, so they're able to conduct an experiment without physically having the apparatus.
So have provided specific ICT training to more than 400 teachers. And of course, this is the first third of the project, but our aim is to have reached 1,000, so 3 times more by the end of the year, so really having an impact. And when we can talk to the kids, they really tell us how much this changed their way of learning.
Moving on, a section of Nyamira County residents is up in arms after the National Treasury withdrew the World Bank support funds from the county over mismanagement. Speaking at Konate Shopping Center in Nyamira County, the residents called on the governor, Amos Nyaribo, to resign for the alleged mismanagement of funds, accusing him of allegedly derailing development in the area.
We are here because World Bank has suspended its project in Nyamira. We want to tell the governor, because he has taken us for a ride for a long time. We want to tell him that money from World Bank is not a gift from his mother. This money belongs to Mwananchi.
Yes.
This money is meant to get clean water to Mwananchi.
Yes.
This money is meant to create employment for young people in Nyamira.
Yes.
This money is meant to construct roads in Nyamira. So that money is supposed to be used in Nyamira. Now it's being returned. It's cancelled that we cannot have any project for World Bank because, why? The governor is corrupt. The governor cannot account. And we must tell him that he is the CEO of this county. He must take responsibility Accountability cannot be negotiated. Yes. He must account for this.
To county number 14 now, where residents of Kangeta village in Mbeti South Ward, Embu County have staged demonstrations to protest the alleged diversion of a tarmac road project that was initially earmarked to pass through their area. The residents say the road, which is already under construction under the Kenya Rural Roads Authority, was meant to link Embu County to Kirinyaga County through Kangeta village, but has allegedly been diverted by the contractor. They are calling on the government to intervene and stop the contractor from proceeding with the alleged diversion. Residents further argued that the road is a vital transport corridor for the area's economy, which largely depends on agriculture.
Ukiangalia rami imewekwa huko Mwea, imetoka huko inaenda Itangi, inaenda kutokea Viai, rami mzuri. Hiyo ingine imeenda mpaka Ngurubani. Sasa tunaomba hii barabara yetu itolewe kutoka Kangeta, inje ipitie hapa, iende kwa daraja, iende Kiombo, tuende Nairobi, ndugu zangu, dada wenzangu.
Hii barabara inatuokolea sana. Tunarima Mugoka, Mira, inaendanga Ngara Nairobi. Na inapitianga kwa hii barabara. Tunarimanga Mesiri, kampuni za Mesiri ziko huku. Hii Mesiri inapitianga kwa hii barabara inaenda Nairobi. Sasa hii barabara isipowekwa rami, tuko na gharama mingi sana.
A section of border operators in Migori County has received financial literacy training aimed at promoting responsible borrowing and improving their financial well-being. During the training session held in Migori Town, Mogo Limited Asset Financial Community and Events Manager Sheila Nuni said the company has rolled out financial literacy programs for border riders across the Nyanza region to help them grow their income sustainably.
Zetu uweze kuelewa interest rate zetu, uelewe mkopo unafaa ulipe kwa kiwango gani, uelewe kabla uchukue mkopo wako nini unafaa kuzingatia, pia uelewe kuwa agreement si kitu ambayo tu unafaa tutie sahihi. Make sure unapitia, make sure unaangalia kila kitu ambayo imeandikwa. Kama haiendanishi na wewe, tafadhali pia unaweza uliza maswali.
Biashara ya kupeana loan sio kitu rahisi, na ndio maana tulikuwa tunataka waje ili tuwe na agreement, tujue ya kwamba watu wetu wako safe kwa njia gani.
Waende na uzuri ofisi yao wametuletea hapa Migori, wanaweza wakatembelea ofisi na wapate habari zaidi ili wawe wanachukua pikipiki hapo na wanarejesha loni kwa wakati inayofaa.
Moving on, a section of leaders in Garsen, Tana River County has raised concern over the abandonment of a newly constructed multi-million shillings early childhood development school in the area. Garsen West member of County Assembly Makud Gabo said the facility designed to safeguard and educate children from communities devastated by the 2023 El Nino floods stands unused and is already showing signs of deterioration. According to the MCA, parents are now compelled to send their children long distances to access ECD services, raising questions about the allocation and oversight of government spending.
Kama milioni 15 imepotea hapa. Wanapojenga jengo kama hili ama jengo yoyote ama mradi wote wa serikali, wahusishe wananchi. Ndio wananchi waseme hili jengo linastahili tuwekewe hapa. Lakini jengo hili limewekwa msituni, haiko karibu na watu, na ndio wezi wamepata nafasi.
Now, snake bites, crocodile attacks, insecurity and lifestyle diseases have been linked to the rising number of persons with disabilities in Baringo County. In a bid to reduce cases, a non-governmental organization, Hope Mobility, is conducting a 3-day outreach to support affected residents. Hope Mobility founder Michael Pentha says the initiative will provide wheelchairs and assistive devices to restore dignity to persons with disabilities. Residents and stakeholders are calling on the county government and partners to increase support and address the stigma facing persons with disabilities.
There's 47 counties in the high number of people living with disability. These are attributed mainly because of, one, the issue of insecurity, where we have many people who have been amputated because of the bullets. There is the element of the madenge tree here, which actually has caused many people to be crippled. There is the element of snake bites in Baringo again, which is making the rates of these people to go higher. And that is why we are saying Baringo need an attention.
The need is huge, and we need a lot of support to serve people with disability in this country. We need the government, the private sectors, the churches to come alongside to serve these people with disability. We need them to go to school, they need them to go to work, and we also want them to be connected to churches.
Now to the sandy beaches of the coast, where 74 women from companies owned by women and women groups in Kwale County have graduated from an entrepreneurship training. The training, conducted by the county government in collaboration with a financial institution, equipped them with the skills required to grow their businesses. The training also focused on financial literacy, including how to utilize loans for businesses.
Kafikiria ninunue ile mashini mnaonanga wa mama wakishona hivi. Nikanunua mashine na loan. Imefika mwisho wa mwezi sijui kutumia ile mashine. Nafikiria kuiuza, sipati mnunuzi. Leo hii tukitaka kushona sweta tunabonyeza kompyuta. Inashona usiku na mchana.
Can be able to tailor made your product. Go with an idea what you want. What do you want for your business? What will make your business to grow?
Naona vile tutainua aje wamama wa Kwale. But the best thing kwangu ni Isa is the beginning of revamping Fanikisha.
Ni lazima tutafute mikakati mingi na bado tutaendelea, hiyo partnership iendelee ili tuweze kuwaelimisha wengi.
Very well, about 27 minutes past the top of the hour. We are due for our first break, but when we come back, I still have more news to run through. And of course, I'll be telling you how 36 teams will all be playing at the same time. I'm talking about the Champions League later tonight. That and much more after this break.
Katika Qur'an tukufu Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anatuamuru tukumbushane, kwani kukumbushana kunawafaa waumini. Kwa mujibu wa hadithi, Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam anatushauri tueneze ujumbe wake angalau kwa aya moja. Basi tunatia ari kufanya ambacho ni jukumu la kila Muislamu, kukumbushana mema na kukatazana maovu. Tunakuletea mawaidha za mashehe, wataalam, maustadh, madrasa, makala spesheli na Oktifatuma Yakub, mafunzo na historia za mitume na maswahaba, na burudani kupitia nashid na wasifu za munshid. Tazama ukumbi wa Kiislamu nami Alishe kila Ijumaa saa 9:30 katika KBC Channel 1.
Nasema wewe ni manzi. Manzi ya pasta ama manzi ya nani hapa?
Shemanzi, Asha kanisani.
Wewe ni muamini wa hiyo kanisa?
Hapana.
Very nice. Hiyo ni ya kwanza, maka watu walimheshimiwa.
Nimekwambia uulize maswali.
Nikieleza hii mahakama, mimi hiyo pesa nilikuja nikachukua nikatoa, nikawa kiondoa ilikuwa imejaa. nikatoa nikaweka kwa mfuko ndio zisimwakike, nitakuwa naeleza mahakama urongo?
Sheria ya kanisa pale pakijana anaruhusiwa kuchukua pesa yote.
Sasa ningewacha simwakike mheshimiwa kusema ulikuwa unatoa katika mifuko ya tai. Wewe ni aso wa hiyo kanisa?
Aje hapana, mimi ni Islam.
Very good. Walk out. Usiniletee Kiislamu hapa. Arda? Yes.
Welcome back to Lunchtime News, and thanks for keeping me company. Moving on, over 10,000 farmers in Migori County are set to benefit from an incentivized tree planting program where they will be supplied with tree seedlings. The initiative aims at promoting environmental conservation and strengthening climate change mitigation efforts. Under the program, participating farmers will receive a monthly stipend for nurturing the planted seedlings. By supporting farmers throughout the growth period, the project targets to improve tree survival rates, especially in areas affected by harsh climatic conditions. The initiative was welcomed by farmers, noting that access to quality seedlings had been a major hindrance in their tree planting efforts. The program is being supported by Migori County Government in partnership with TreeCorp, a non-governmental organization.
If your tree dies, you don't get paid. So that then it can be able to encourage people to grow trees. But most important above growing trees is that it enables those farmers to be able to have extra income to earn in their family, in their families.
Mazingira inaenda kugeuka kwa maana au kwa sababu tunaenda kupanda miti, na tumeshukuru Edi na kambi Triko kutuletea miti, na enyewe miti ndiye uzima.
Changamoto napita kupanda hii miti kwa sasa hivi jua na waka, lazima uchote maji, mwage, utunze hii miti, hata ng'ombe ushikule, watoto sicheze nayo, kwa sababu hii ndio maisha yangu ya kesho.
Back in the coast, domestic workers in Mombasa County have renewed calls for the government to ratify International Labour Organization ILO Conventions 189 and 190, citing widespread mistreatment in the sector that includes unpaid overtime, abuse, harassment, unclear contracts and exploitation. The appeal was made during a public participation forum held at the Kiko Dep Social Hall in Bombo, Lulu, where domestic workers shared personal experiences and urged authorities to strengthen legal protections for workers employed in private households. The workers say the lack of legal safeguards has left them vulnerable to abuse.
Sisi kama wafanyakazi wa ndani tumeishi tukipitia mambo mengi, tukidhulumiwa, haki zetu hazisikizwi. Kwanza haswa wafanyakazi wa ndani ya Kenya ndio tumeishi tukidhulumiwa, tukifanya kazi nje ya muda, na hata pia watoto wadogo wengine wakiandikwa kazi.
Kunyimwa chakula, kukosa mahali pa kulala. Hizo ni vitu ambazo sisi tulipita kama dhulma za watu wafanyakazi wa ndani ya nyumba. Kitu kingine ilikuwa masaa ya kulala, kutopelekwa hospitali, uko mgonjwa unapatiwa paracetamol. Hii ni kitu ambacho pia ilikuwa inafanya kama ni dhulma kwa upande wetu.
From workers' right to an education appeal, where a family in Ndumbere village in Kiambu County is appealing to well-wishers for financial support to enable their twin daughters join senior secondary school after failing to raise school fees and uniform costs. The twin sisters, Grace Nyanjao and Mase Nyambura, who sat their Kenya Certificate of Primary Education at Karunga Primary School, scored 52 and 47 points respectively. And despite their commendable performance, the girls have not reported to senior school due to financial constraints.
As classrooms across the country fill with learners reporting for senior secondary school, Two bright twin sisters from Dumberi village in Kiambu County remain at home because their family cannot afford school fees and uniforms. While their peers begin a new academic chapter, the twins are left behind, forced to wait and hope that help will come.
I scored 47 points and the KJCR was not so tough, but we tried our best. We could pray for well-wishers to come and support us because we feel bad when we see our friends, our classmates going to school and we are not in school. I had 52 points, and the reason why we are not in school, my mother and my father cannot afford to pay for us the school fees. That's why we are not in school. I felt bad, but I hope for God He will make a way for us.
Their mother, Fidelis Wambui, who is battling a heart condition, says her illness has left her bedridden for long periods, hence unable to provide for her children.
Na hawa watoto wangu wanapenda sana kusoma. Igala tu ni venye sikuwangi na pesa, so sometimes wanakuwanga wako shule, wakati mwingine hawako shule na ni juu ya fees. Nikiomba well-wishers au wenye wamekalia viti, governors, MP, women rep, wanisaidie support hawa watoto wangu waingie shule kama watoto wao wengine.
According to Wambui, each child requires 52,000 shillings per term to cater for school fees and uniforms, bringing the total amount needed to over 100,000 shillings. The family is now appealing to well-wishers to help give the twins a chance to pursue their dreams and secure a better future. Well-wishers willing to assist can reach Fidelis Wambui on 0723 713 366. Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
And in any way that you can be able to help, kindly do. A candle never loses anything by lighting another candle. Kenyans for Kenyans. Elsewhere, a 70-year-old widow from Kanjira, location in Karachuonyo, sub-county, Homa Bay County, has received a new house courtesy of a community initiative by the Lilian Ngala Foundation. Mama Phoebe Akinyi Juma had been living in a dilapidated mud-walled house before the intervention.
I'm looking at ways in terms of just impacting my community, giving back to the society, and there's something about widows. Most of the time they are left behind, most of the time nobody thinks about them, and therefore beyond just passion, I'm looking at a way whereby we can live a meaningful life by impacting, by giving them dignity, by restoring dignity that was not even there before. If you look at this lady today at the Karachuonyo sub-county, you'll find that she's been existing amongst everybody else, but we do not care, we do not mind in terms of how do we embrace them, how do we change their life, how do we transform their lives.
The clergy in Kakamega County have vowed to work with government agencies to curb drug and substance abuse amid concerns the country leads the region in illicit brew production and consumption. This and more stories in our county news roundup.
At the Kakamega County Interfaith Council, religious leaders accuse the judiciary and the DPP of frustrating enforcement by frequently releasing suspects arrested for brewing or trafficking drugs.
Tunahusika sana kwa sababu watoto hawakuji kanisani siku hizi. Wanakunywa pombe, wanakataa kuja kanisani. Hata wengine wako kwa praise and worship, lakini wanakitoka hapo wanaenda kunywa pombe. Sasa tunataka tuondoe kabisa mambo ya pombe na hii mambo ya bank.
And the Kenya Police Chaplaincy head has urged the public to include officers in religious activities, saying partnerships and community support has strengthened officers' emotional and spiritual well-being.
We make sure that we cover the entire country to make sure we deploy properly and trainings be conducted so that we capacity build our officers to ensure they have support so that they can serve members of the public for us to achieve that goal and the mandate of the National Police Service.
Meanwhile, a 70-year-old widow in Karachuonyo, Homa Bay County, has received a new house courtesy of the Lillian Gale Foundation's Community Transformation Program, restoring dignity to vulnerable widows.
There's something about widows. Most of the time they are left behind. Most of the time nobody thinks about them. And therefore, beyond just passion, I'm looking at a way whereby we can live a meaningful life by impacting, by giving them dignity, by restoring dignity that was not even there before.
Elsewhere, Teachers Service Commission Chairperson Jamlek Muturi has lauded the President's move to recruit more teachers into the Commission. This he said while overseeing interviews for 9,139 teachers at Makueni Boys High School in Makueni County.
The Commission is calling upon all stakeholders, host communities, religious groups, and the entirety of our society to support our teachers who are spread all over the country and continue to offer their services with utmost dedication, courage, and commitment to enable our country realize the right to education for all the children of Kenya.
Finally, residents of Gishungu, Kirinyaga County have been urged to have regular screens in fight against communicable diseases. According to Edimong Cheruiyot, a director at Minovet Afia Limited, cancer screening has taken positive strides. During the camp, 15 people tested positive for cervical, prostate cancer and hypertension after they underwent cancer screening at Free Cancer Medical Camp.
Nimefurahi sana kwa vile serikali imekuja huku kutupima. Juu ni watu wengi wana hizo dalili za kansa lakini hawapati pesa za kwenda kupimwa.
We've been able to have a positive rate of around 20%. So that 20%, we are getting over 90% cases after confirmation using VIA, the available method. And those are the numbers currently.
And before we do business, the High Court has dismissed a petition filed by victims and families affected by the 1998 bomb blast who are seeking compensation from the government, ruling that the case lacked merit. In its judgment, the court held that the petitioners failed to prove that the government had prior knowledge or actionable intelligence about the impending terrorist attack and neglected to act on it. Justice Lawrence Mugambi noted that although the petitioners relied on several reports to support their claims, the authors of those reports did not testify in court, rendering the documents hearsay and of no evidentiary value. The court emphasized that the burden of proof rested with the petitioners, who are required to demonstrate the government had received actionable intelligence and failed to act despite being aware of it. This legal threshold, the court found, was not met. It's a story that we are keeping our eyes peeled for, and we'll definitely give you more details, if any, as it unfolds. Let's now shift our gears to matters business. Credit rating agency Moody's has upgraded Kenya's sovereign rating to B3 from CAA1 and revised the economic outlook to stable. The credit rating agency said Kenya's external liquidity position has improved, supported by higher foreign exchange reserves, a narrower current account deficit, and a more stable shilling.
Moody's Ratings has upgraded Kenya's sovereign credit rating to B3 from CAA1, saying the country's risk of a default in the near term has declined following improvements in foreign exchange liquidity and market access. The agency pointed to a stronger external position, with foreign exchange reserves rising to 1.6 trillion shillings, equivalent to about 5.3 months of import cover. Moody's said the improvement was supported by a narrower current account deficit and a more stable exchange rate. Kenya's return to international capital markets was also a key factor. In 2025, the government raised $3 billion through Eurobond issuance and used part of the funds to buy back $1.2 billion of bonds maturing between 2026 and 2028. The move pushed the next major external bond maturity to 2030. However, Moody's said the rating remains capped by a weak debt affordability and slow fiscal consolidation, as high domestic borrowing costs and political and social pressures limit efforts to narrow the fiscal deficit, leaving Kenya vulnerable to shifts in financing conditions. Interest payment consume more than 30% of the government's revenue, while the fiscal deficit is expected to remain close to 6% of GDP. The agency has also revised the country's outlook to stable from positive, reflecting expectations that the recent improvements in liquidity and financing conditions will be sustained, with risk around the baseline broadly balanced. Benson Rioba reporting for Lunchtime News.
The National Museums of Kenya has rolled out the Heritage-Based Enterprises Initiative aimed at transforming indigenous knowledge into market-ready enterprises as the country looks to unlock new areas of economic growth. National Museums of Kenya Director General Professor Miri Gikungi says under its Natural Products Industry program, the project will harness Kenya's rich indigenous knowledge while digitizing and protecting Kenya's cultural and intellectual heritage.
The initiative seeks to position indigenous knowledge as a new frontier for inclusive economic growth. As part of the program, the government is documenting, digitizing, and protecting indigenous knowledge intellectual assets, ensuring they are preserved, legally safeguarded, and positioned for responsible commercial use.
We also have a national data bank at NMK. But for us, it's not just to keep this information. It's to help the community learn how to harness the knowledge for socio-economic development and cottage industry creation.
Working with national agencies, county governments, and local communities, National Museums of Kenya has already documented indigenous knowledge assets across 13 pilot counties, with Phase 2 set to span another 20 more counties.
We've captured all of them. We've put them we've put them as a storage. As a storage. Taracha will probably we've digitalized it and kept it as storage, and it is for the good of the community where these things are coming from.
By investing in these assets, we are going to create opportunities in the thousands of jobs, products, and industries within this sector. Creating one of the first investment conference on indigenous knowledge, it means that we are beginning to tell a story that shows a different phase of this country.
The initiative now sets the stage for the first International Investment Conference and Trade Fair on Indigenous Knowledge Intellectual Assets, scheduled for April 2026, under the theme Unlocking Investment Opportunities in Kenya's Indigenous Wealth, a new growth area of the economy. The conference will provide a platform for pilot counties, micro and small enterprises, and community-based asset owners to showcase digitized indigenous innovations to potential investors to support product development, commercialization, and sustainable livelihoods. Ndotamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
Now, young people have been urged to seize opportunities in manufacturing as Kenya records a steady influx of new investors setting up industries every week. Principal Secretary for Trade and Investment, Dr. Juma Mukwana, says the country is witnessing strong investor confidence with at least 3 or more new investors establishing factories weekly.
Speaking to students at Kenyatta University, Principal Secretary for Trade and Investment Dr. Juma Mukwana encouraged the youth to venture into manufacturing, describing the sector as highly competitive and full of opportunity.
We are seeing and we are encouraging young people, especially Kenyans, to move into the manufacturing space because that is where opportunity is. Add value to macadamia, add value to avocado, add value to milk, to tea, to different things, because that is where the future is.
Industry player called for policy reform to sustain the momentum. They said easing regulatory constraints will restore sanity in the industry, boost competitiveness and guarantee more jobs for young people, aligning with the government push for industry growth and youth empowerment.
We require government support to ensure that we push Kenya to the best way possible, because Kenya has natural resources, Kenya has ideas, Kenya has best student, has best company, and when government support us the way you have seen them sometime doing, I'm telling you in the next 10 years, 5 years, Kenya will not only be a nation, it will be a place where people will be coming to learn from and will be exporting a lot of knowledge worldwide.
Felix Q for Lunchtime News.
5 counties, Nairobi, Kilifi, Kisumu, Kajiado and Nakuru, are set to benefit from clean cooking solutions following the rollout of a project designed to accelerate Kenya's transition to clean cooking by supporting local manufacturers. The project is by Practical Action Kenya in partnership with the Clean Cooking Association of Kenya, CCAK, and Gamos East Africa, with support from UK Pact.
It's an inclusive approach that we are seeking to county energy development. And we hope that it will deliver the enhanced institutional capacity for undertaking evidence-based.
We be inclusive. How can we ensure there's a transition to clean cooking? So all these policies are in the background of a transition to clean cooking, access to finance for the private sector, so that we also do not rely heavily on the public sector.
What we want to see is that local production ramps up to be able to meet that demand, and Kenya becomes a self-sustaining nation in terms of meeting the growing demand for sustainable cooking energy.
Some of the solutions that we captured in our energy plan was that we required a policy intervention in relation to the clean cooking sector, and as of now, Kilifi County has developed its clean cooking energy policy.
The East African community recorded a 15% increase in intra-block trade to $4.8 billion, during the July quarter of 2025, supported by efforts to ease cross-border movement, harmonizing of standards and reduction of non-tariff barriers. Latest data further indicates that international trade further registered a growth of 22%.
The East African community total trade increased by 21.9%, rising from $33 billion in quarter 3 of 2024 to $40.3 billion in quarter 3 of 2025. Intra-EAC trade also expanded by 15% to $4.8 billion, supported by efforts to ease cross-border movement, harmonize standards, and reduce non-tariff barriers. Trade within Africa rose to $10.1 billion, accounting for 32.2% of the total regional trade. Exports grew significantly by 32.3% to $19.6 billion, while imports rose more moderately by 13.3% to $20.6 billion. China, the UAE, South Africa, Hong Kong, and Singapore were the key markets, accounting for 58% of EAC exports, up from 42.7% a year earlier. Emerging destinations such as Indonesia, Italy, and Greece also increased their demand for products from the region. The export basket remained highly concentrated in base metals, precious stones and metals, mineral fuels, and traditional agricultural commodities such as coffee, tea, and cut flowers. On the other hand, petroleum products, machinery, vehicles, plastics, iron and steel, and cereals were the key products imported. China remains the largest supplier at $5.5 billion. Other major import origins included the UAE, India, Japan, South Africa, and the United States.
Time for sports. Record Kenyan Premier League champions Gor Mahia have been handed a timely boost in their pursuit of the 2025-26 FKF Premier League title following the return of midfielder Ben Stanley Omondi. The former Sofapaka midfielder last featured for Gor Mahia during their clash against Shabana FC on 11th of January when he started the match before being forced out due to an injury. The player resumed training with his teammates at Askogalo, seeks to maintain their splendid form on the league when they will host Sofapaka this Saturday in the 18th Premier League match of the season. Gor Mahia assistant coach Kobe Bismarck expressed optimism with the team ahead of the clash. Gor are at the top of the standing with 36 points, while Sofapaka sit on the second bottom position with only 14 points.
From our last game, the players did well. There was so many areas that I think we need to improve technically. And we have started working on it. We gave them 2 days off. We started training today for the preparation for our next coming game. So I think we add a lot of seriousness to our preparation. And I think we'll be ready by Saturday.
Kucheza na Sofapaka, Gor against Sofapaka ikuangia an easy match. Tukiangalia back in the years. So tuko prepared because right now tunajua like any game inafaa kuwa ni a must win for us because the league is so competitive.
World number 4 Amanda Asinimova is still devastated after losing her quarter-final women's singles match to her compatriot Jessica Pegula. In the ongoing Australian Open, the 24-year-old was frustrated when her hopes of a third Grand Slam final ended after a blur of unforced errors and double faults against the 6th-seeded Pegula, who beat her 6-2, 7-6 in Melbourne. Pegula, on the other hand, was rewarded with a semi-final meeting against Kazakh 5th seed Elena Rybakina. Elena upset and eliminated world number 2 Iga Swiatek 7-5, 6-1 in their quarter-final match at the Pod Lava Arena.
Well, she's been perfect. And she gets it. Jess Pegula through to the semi-finals of the Australian Open.
6-2, 7-6.
Further afield, 6 English Premier League clubs are eyeing a top 8 finish tonight ahead of the completion of the league phase of the UEFA Champions League. Arsenal, however, through to the last 16 and hope to maintain a top spot in the standings when they face Kairat tonight, while second-placed Bayern Munich must also avoid defeat at PSV Eindhoven to stay put. Manchester City, who are currently in a playoff 7th position with 13 points, and who played simultaneously actually to avoid match fixing.
It's gone in. Eza, Marino, Lewis Skelly, and there's Shuri and Timber, and then it's...
My director, Mugo Kariuki, informs me that we have run out of time, but allow me just to mention that as the men play Champions League, so will the ladies. But the semi-final of the inaugural FIFA Women's Championship tonight with European champions Wales, Arsenal playing Africa Queen AS FAR of Morocco. Of course, we'll be bringing you a detailed report of those 2 big competition. Well, that's where we put a cap on KBC Lunchtime News this Wednesday afternoon. Many thanks for keeping me company. Don't forget to check out our social media spaces for this and much, much more, including our KBC digital app to keep you updated while on the move. Anne Wangeshi has been my colleague on the sign language interpretation. I'm Njue. You have a blessed afternoon.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Hujambo mtazamaji, natumai ubuheri wa afya.
Ni wiki nyingine tunakutana katika kipindi chetu tukiwa tayari kujifunza mbinu mbalimbali za kilimo pamoja na teknolojia za kurahisisha mazao. Mimi naitwa Boniface Mutunga.
Nami naitwa Karen Kanewe.
Karibu. Mtazamaji, katika makala ya wiki hii tunaendelea na kuangazia kilimo cha French beans na ni katika eneo la Kitengela. Tunazungumza na Askofu Grace Kamwaro ambaye anatufunza jinsi ya kuzivuna na baada ya pale unaweza kuzisort namna gani kwa ajili ya masoko mbalimbali, masoko ya hapa nchini Kenya na pia masoko ya bara Europa. Vile vile nitakuwa nazungumza na mkulima ambaye amefanya kilimo mseto tangu miaka ya 1970s. Je, safari imekuwaje na tofauti ikoje kati ya miaka zile na miaka hii ya sasa hivi? Usibanduke